Okay, Mr. Jones, we were talking about eliminating debt and increasing cash flows. Let me ask you this question, Mr. Jones. At the end of the year, are you getting a tax refund, or do you still owe taxes at the end of your year when you pay when you file your tax return? Oh, you're getting a refund. Uh, that's interesting. And about how much do you get back? About $3,000 you get back. You get that back about every year. Uh, so you're telling me that you pay the government to keep your money for a year. It's funny. I was just visiting with another client, and he was telling me that he gets back a tax refund of between $7,000 and $9,000 every year. And before I could say anything, he said, I know, it doesn't make sense. I get it back. And something, it really doesn't, because what he's doing, and I think you're doing it also, is you're giving the government the use of your money for the year, and then they pay it back to you at the end of the year without any interest. So, in a sense, it doesn't make sense to do that. It would be better for you if we could take that money, that $3,000 in your case, apply it to your dreams of becoming financially independent and retiring at the earliest possible date. So that's another thing we'll look at to help you find monies that you didn't know you had. Uh, the other thing we talked about is eliminating debt. And I'm going to use an example in this book here, and I've got the book um, of what I call a typical client that's had debts, and you can see he's got a mortgage debt, an auto loan debt, and some credit card debt. In this case, of $10,000, and it looks like if he pays the monies with his current plan, and you can see here in the book, it'll take him 26.8 years to get out of debt. But we have programs, something called the Eliminator, the Debt Eliminator, that will help you get out of debt in a much quicker way. And in fact, under our plan, as you can see, he takes him only 13.1 years to get out of retirement. And the debt eliminator, using those 13 including their mortgage, and if they continue to make the payments, but now pay it to themselves instead of just being out of debt in 26.8 years, they will be out of debt and possibly have up to $350,000 in savings. So that's an important part of this, is the debt and labor. Uh, I'll come back to this, and we'll go through your particular situation and how to use the debt eliminator that will work for you. And do you have a mortgage, Mr. Jones? You do? Okay. And how much did you owe? Okay. And how much is the house worth? Okay. And what is the interest? What is your payment? And does that include are you telling me that includes the taxes and the insurance? Okay. Do you happen to know your FICO score? Because that's an important thing too. Oh, okay. Yeah, I see. Okay. And there's ways to pay back the mortgage here. And I'm going to use an example of someone who has a mortgage and is deciding whether to pay it back in a 15-year mortgage or a 30-year mortgage. And I've got the page right here. Okay. And you can see what happens. If he pays it back in 15 years, he's going to make a payment of $1,716 for 15 years, and he's going to pay in the $593,801 if he pays it for the 15 years. In the 30-year mortgage, he pays only $1,192, which is a savings of $524. He invests the $524 for 30 years, and I'm assuming an 8% return. he gets $780,000. So you can see what's happening here. There's a difference of $187,000 just by structuring the debt for your mortgage in the proper manner. So we're going to talk a little bit about that also. Okay, step 4, and this is an important one. It's an emergency fund. Mr. Jones, do you have an emergency fund? Uh-huh. Okay, great. And let me ask you this. Our definition of an emergency fund is to have something that's taken out of your checkbook or payroll account in a systematic basis that gets invested in something that has higher rates of return than just the low bank rates, and that is completely safe and immediately accessible to you. And the reason I say that is that if you don't have the proper emergency fund, and you see this happen all the time, when you get an emergency, like the car needs a new transmission, it's happened to me actually. Transmissions, as you know, in cars cost $2,000 to $3,000 today, which could be funded by the emergency fund. But if you don't have that emergency fund, what tends to happen is that will go on to a credit card, become part of the debt, and that by the time that's paid off, that $2,000 to $3,000 original cost of the transmission, in my example, becomes a $4,000 to $5,000 expenditure when you're done paying it off over 2 to 3 years with the taxes and so on. So that's important to have an adequate emergency fund. And again, it's got to be out of sight, it's got to be taken out systematically, and it's got to be safe, and you'll be able to get to it. Okay, step 5 is protecting what you have. And by that we mean utilizing some of the necessary insurance products. You know, it's pretty devastating when a wage earner loses, dies, and the survivors, usually the family members, do not have enough capital to continue to live the lifestyle I have, educate the kids, and provide for the family. Have you ever seen this before? Yeah, I have too. And it's always a hassle. Who's going to pay the bills? Part of a proper financial plan is to have the necessary life insurance. Do you have life insurance, Mr. Jones? Okay, yeah, fine. Okay, we'll look at one of the things we'll do is look at your financial needs for life insurance, and we'll come back to that when we go through all the particulars under your particular plan. I'm going to stop here.